Drive Angry, 2010, 2011, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah. Drive Angry.
Nick Cage and Amber Heard, which...
Nick Cage breaks out of hell, and they showed him like bursting out of like these hell gates in a Dodge Charger, and I'm like, hey, that's what I want.
Now it's weird because I could present you the same imagery, similar sounding plot. Nick Cage is Ghost Rider. Is that? I mean, are you also creaming your jeans for that?
I loved Ghost Rider.
Did you? Oh goddamn!
Did you really? I freaking loved Ghost Rider. Hell yeah. That movie was awesome. That's what happens when you combine Nick Cage and Marvel. I mean, come on. Into the Spider-Verse is what happens when you combine Nick Cage and Marvel, and that worked out well. that was great too, yeah. They perfected the art there, but, you know, Nick Cage is a secondary character.
For those of y'all listening out there trying to decide whether or not to watch the movie, you gotta take Rob's recommendation with a grain of salt. I mean, are you a Rob? Are you an Andrew? Are you a Matt? Here's where I came from. It came out, and within a year, I had looked it up because I knew about it and was disinterested. And then I heard there was a really great Charlotte Ross nude scene, first time ever. Because if you go back to her in NYPD Blue, everybody kind of showed a little cheek here, a little side boob there, but it wasn't, you know, anything just like bam. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie. Especially Dennis Franz. Yeah, sadly.
And which character is that? Is that the one waitress he picks up?
He's the partner of all like three of the cops. He was the one with the mustache and the bald head. That's what you're asking, right?
I get it. No, I was asking, you're talking about some actor from that show that was nude in this movie. Are you talking about the waitress?
Oh, yeah, waitress.
And Charlotte Ross has the best nude scene ever in a movie, by the way.
42 years old. Decides, you know, I don't know how they talked her into it or what kind of money they gave her. And it was like a bit part. It wasn't like a large role or anything like that. And it was just all like titties and muscles. It was awesome.
You don't really have to talk anybody into this scene. That's like the most awesome concept for a nude scene ever.
It's just the muscle tone, and those were some banging ass fake titties. You could tell they were fake too, because most of the scenes she was laying on her back, and you're just like,
I am unimpressed by and I do not like implant.
Oh, then you probably hated her.
I don't have a problem with them if they're done well.
Word.
As long as they don't look like a pair of grapefruits strapped to your chest or something.
Hers were a little grapefruity. A decade ago, I watched it up until that scene, and by that point, I loved that scene. But then I was like, yeah, you know, I got Mr. Skin, so I stopped watching because I wasn't really that invested in it. And you guys renewed my excitement for the movie. Plus, just having in the last few years seen a lot of the wackier Nick Cage movies, I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll watch it.
Hell yeah. It was so refreshing to watch something that was just entertaining us and not trying to teach us something.
They taught you that Nick Cage was a bad motherfucker.
Teaches you don't fuck with the cage.
That's why I like that opening scene. They show the car busting out of hell, and the voiceover is like,
since the birth of time, humanity has endeavored to restrain evil men. But since Cain fled the murder of his brother, evil men have fled the walls of punishment. So it doesn't matter if you're a badass motherfucker on the run. No. Because you see badass motherfuckers are never fast enough.
When pulling up the thumbnails, the internet images, like the movie posters, this wasn't Drive Angry. It was Drive Angry in 3D. This was, I think, at the, maybe not at the height, maybe at the tail end of everything having to be 3D and all these movies coming out.
That explains a lot of the shots now. I thought a lot of the shots were kind of weird. I didn't realize it was done for 3D.
What'd y'all think about Nick Cage's black Canadian tuxedo?
Nick Cage looks good in anything he's wearing. I mean, come on.
It looked like he just bought it off the rack, though. You know how black denim can get kind of broken in and looks better? His was just like straight up, just black.
Like he just pulled it off the rack in the costuming department and said, yeah, we'll do this. This will be fine.
That's what happened, actually.
Yeah, we'll just go with this. It doesn't matter.
What'd y'all think about Dan Fichtner is the actor's name. He's a character actor. You saw him playing the accountant.
The accountant. Best part of the movie.
You've seen him in things before, and you're like, hey, it's that guy that was in all those movies. Because he was in Contact, Armageddon. He's like the definition of modern working character actor. So here he is in this role, completely kicking ass. He was the best thing about the movie by far.
He was, and then he had the best payoff because I love that he was actually Anubis. That made so much sense, like who he was as a character and why he was so badass. Anubis weighs your souls, so isn't he?
I like how weighing the souls means an accounting of the souls, and he was the accountant.
Yeah.
The best was when he walked out of the sideways truck onto the hood of the car. That scene was just so crazy. The truck keeps going and explodes, and he's just left standing on the hood of the car as it skids to a stop. I mean, and then they're all pointing guns at him, and he flips his coin, and boom, pops out the FBI bag. It was like the Doctor Who psychic paper.
Yeah.
There's the school of villains, and I think it probably didn't start with, but it gained, I think, a lot of prominence when Jack Nicholson came out in Batman and was just so over the top, and it was awesome. So, like the professional Gary Oldman, over the top.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean, everyone?
It was great. It was awesome. But he played that just so goddamn over the top because he was trying to be compelling. Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker. And most of the time, when they do this, most people do it really, really, really badly. And you see it in a lot of movies where they just try it and just swing and a miss, and it doesn't play well. I thought Fichtner went for it and hit it out of the park. I thought he was just quirky and weird, like with the baseball bat, just like pinning the Stone Cold Steve to the wall and then killing him. And
I love that.
And just his head twitches and the way he acted. I thought that was really good. I thought that was his best role and the best role of the movie. Sorry, Nick Cage. Sorry, Charlotte Ross.
It really was. It really was. He did steal every scene he was in. And that's really hard to do in a Nick Cage movie. Because Nick Cage is a mighty thunderstorm of acting.
It was also a lot of fun seeing Amber Heard get the shit beat out of her.
So I'm watching the Stone Cold and Amber infidelity scenes, and I'm like, first thought is, oh man, you did it now. She's going to shit on your bed. And then they're doing the whole domestic violence, trailer parky white trash bullshit fight in the front yard. And I'm like, I don't think Amber's acting. I think this is just her. This is her personality here. You know, she's not really having to reach too deep for this role. The restaurant that Nick Cage found Amber Heard in, where they linked up, did y'all recognize the other waitress? Do you know who Katie Mixon is at all?
No idea.
Nope.
But that's a sexy, sexy name.
She was the lead actress in Eastbound and Down.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, goddamn. But anyway, she was the girlfriend of that show.
Oh, that girl, yeah. From that one show that we've never heard of.
Another great thing about this movie, we can talk about the cars, man. So many badass cars in this movie.
The Charger. I never thought I'd see a cooler Dodge Charger than the General Lee, but that was it. That matte black paint job. Oh, that was so cool.
And then once that gets shot all to shit, they come up with a nice SS for him to drive through the rest of the movie. Somebody had a collection of classic muscle cars and just wanted to show them off and decided to just throw them all into this Nick Cage movie. They at no point really helped with the plot or anything, but man, they were just awesome eye candy.
Well, if you had a movie called Drive Angry without some awesome ass cars, I'd be angry.
Yeah, they did sacrifice some mighty, mighty cars on the altar of Nick Cage.
Hopefully they did the kind of thing where it's just like the shell over like an empty chassis.
No, don't devalue the sacrifice.
If they only had some kind of past body of work where they constantly were destroying Dodge Chargers again and again. If only they somehow knew how to pull that off. They didn't like trash them every show whenever they did a jump. Did they do like a shell over a different kind of car or something? Or
They had a bunch of different ones, and did they go through like 25 or something during the course of the series?
They probably had some that were just shells that they kind of launched over a jump with a catapult device or something, I would imagine.
During the slow-mo gunfight, the Charlotte Ross scene, basically, I was counting the number of pumps that... No, I'm kidding. The number of shots. I was counting the number of shots Nick Cage got out of his 1911, and he got 7 rounds and the slide lock back, and I was so thrilled. I was so happy. And then in a later scene, he got 9 or 10 rounds out of it, so I was like, oh, okay, that must have been a fluke. But then later on, in the final scene, 7 rounds and empty. So, I don't know. I'm conflicted.
They usually have someone that looks for the continual things through shots. That's usually
when
a
you
position.
say they usually do, you can't possibly mean that because they don't.
Or that they're bad at their jobs.
They have a what's the word?
Continuity.
Continuity supervisor is usually the title.
Did you just say continuity?
He did. What'd y'all think about Soul Patch David Koresh?
I thought he did an adequate job as a bad guy. He didn't really like super impress me as the ultimate dark force or anything. I mean, he was kind of just there so, Nick Cage would have something to fight against.
Isn't that kind of how it ended, where at the end he was trying to talk like he was the ultimate dark force, and they was just like, nah, dude, fuck you, you're not.
This douchebag, really? You're the nexus of all that is evil? I doubt that.
I just know him as Bella Swan's dad from Twilight, so...
Oh, he was, right? Yeah, okay.
Right,
he was
right.
Mustache Dad.
Now I'm like, wait, his mustache slipped down to his soul patch. But it just seemed like such a departure role for him that it was kind of jarring seeing him playing that role.
They didn't go enough into his cult or anything. He was just kind of there as a bad guy. They really should have fleshed out his evil a lot more if they wanted him to. But that would have detracted from the amount of Nick Cage awesomeness that was going on. So,
any other Drive Angry? Are y'all going to go out and Drive Angry tomorrow?
Grrr. That ending of the movie was so badass with him just running people down with the SS on fire. I mean, it was so cool.
I like that he did actually drink out of his skull and then kept the skull at the end.
He's just having casual conversation, drinking out of the skull. Again, good setup and payoff, because he did say he was going to do that.
Thank you, Webster. I don't believe I'll be having that beer just now. Not unless I'm drinking it from Jonah King's skull.
My biggest complaint about the movie, besides they could have used a few more of those Charlotte Ross scenes, my biggest complaint about the movie was I think it needed more Cage. I know it had a lot of Cage, but I think he was playing, it sounds stupid in light of what we're talking about, but I think he was playing it a little bit restrained, and it was a little too Amber Heard-y. Just get the fuck out of the way, get in the backseat and let Nick Cage do his thing.
He was trying out being a brooding, quiet figure. He was doing his Aragorn in the corner of the inn kind of thing.
I was just happy to see him trying again.
And even when he's doing Aragorn in the corner, he's still grabbing the waitress and kissing her about sugar.
I told you I wanted sugar.
That's as restrained as he gets.
Yeah, that's as restrained. Sexual harassment, yeah.
And Andrew, to be clear, you said you're just glad to see him trying again 10 years ago.
Yeah. Because didn't half of those movies he made for tax reasons? He needed tax money?
What is he, Wesley Snipes?
I thought he lost all his fortune and stuff, and he spent it all, and he needed money.
We've heard interviews about, I think he spent it all on buying replicas of his String of Pearls green glass ball configuration.
A really elegant string of pearls configuration.
Cage did blow his $150 million fortune. He owed the IRS $6.3 million in property taxes, and he was taking every acting role he could to get out of debt.
Poor Cage.
Because he was buying weird shit. Wasn't he one of the people that bought a T-Rex?
Probably. I've got a movie idea. It's Nick Cage, buddy cop with Wesley Snipes.
And they're on the run from a corrupt IRS agent.
Who's Willie Nelson?
Yes! Yeah, he's also a scofflaw from...
So Willie Nelson would be like the Joe Pesci in their Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Nobody escapes the tax man.
That's actually a pretty good movie idea. I could see that.
And they could get Fichtner back in to be the accountant, because IRS has accountants. Who do we call? Do we just call somebody in like Hollywood, 1-800 Hollywood? And